Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Reverend Jackie Robb, and I am so glad to be able to discuss a topic that is my heart's passion, spirituality and aging. Today, we'll talk about the transition one encounters as one ages, the difference between aging and eldering, the specific considerations when working with older populations, as well as other themes. This class is a bit different from the presentations I've given in the past at CHI. When I was a full-time chaplain at a retirement community, I focused more on the physical and cognitive decline as people age, and some of the specific spiritual tools for engaging with and supporting those near the end of life. For the past 5 years, though, I've been a community minister, working in hospice and at several Unitarian Universalist and UCC congregations. This is a very different kind of work, and it's expanded my understanding of what is required of all of us who have chosen this profession. No matter our current age, how can we possibly bring wisdom and care to our chaplaincy unless we are also in the process of moving from older to elder? So this is a class for us, as well as for those we will be serving. The most important part of this bio is that I've worked in both institutional settings and as a community minister chaplain. The people I served in the CCRC, or Continuing Care Retirement Community, are a very different demographic from the people I serve in rural Maine. They may use different language, have different circumstances, but the issues around aging are remarkably similar. No matter where you end up serving, if you are or will be working with those who are in the last third of life, there are consistent themes. Before we begin, though, I want to share an invocation to get us started. So take a deep breath, focus our hearts, our minds, and energy for this time together. May our time together be rich with contemplation, new insights, and deep learning. May we grow into our own wise elder no matter our age. And may our wisdom bring others to their own joy in eldering wisely. So, Chapter 1, Eldering and Introduction. We begin with a hypothesis. This quote is by Mary Catherine Bateson, the daughter of Gregory Bateson, an early psychoecologist, and Margaret Mead, the famous anthropologist. It's been a guiding question for me in my work with the aging population. What if extended longevity turns out to offer to our species an availability of wisdom and empathy that will change the way we live on this planet? On average, people are living longer than in any previous generation. So, what are old people for? This might seem a harsh question, but as recently as the COVID pandemic, our essential workers were grappling with just this quandary as they tried to decide who would get a ventilator and who would not. But what do we even mean by old? I'm not going to answer that question except to suggest that it has very little to do with age. Every physical body has days when it feels young and when it feels old. Every emotional body has days when it feels naive and when it feels wise. Every spiritual body has days when it thinks it knows and days when it returns to beginner's mind. At any age, we can identify with the physical, being rooted in our image and the way we look. We might feel old when we get wrinkles or a big belly becomes inevitable. We might feel old when we're used to being a provider, a parent, or friend, and we either retire or we start needing help. Or the culture has a way of determining the right way to age, which includes our productivity, our engagement, our contribution, physical and mental health. We may feel old when we can't keep up. We have all sorts of celebratory rituals around growing up, from baptism or bris to First Communion or Quinceañera, graduation celebrations, weddings, and anniversaries. And then we seem to skip right to memorials. We don't really have a celebratory ritual for aging or eldering. I believe this is because we are so well acculturated to believing advancing age is a problem and not a gift. Do you resonate with any of these points? Maybe not consciously, but in patterned, unconscious ways of behaving. These cultural pillars start very early and can be very subtle and likely to hide out in our shadow selves. On top of all that, internalized ageism is alive and well, either in obvious or shadow ways. Others can view us, or we can view ourselves with disgust or fear. What we believe about age, consciously or unconsciously, shapes how we age. It affects self-image, general health, brain health. We can lose a sense of meaning and purpose and may grow depressed and depleted, ignoring self-care. I've never said any of these bubbles out loud, but yep, I've thought them. What about you? Can you name a habit or sentence that might be considered internalized ageism? What is your internal language around aging? Can you find any internalized ageist habits or beliefs in you? Take a moment now to write this down, and I'm going to pause the video. Chapter 2, what does wise eldering mean? Chapter 2 will be on our next video. So this is the end of this video and start on number 2. Thanks.